I think the summit today has been looking at issues of between country inequalities. And I was making a very short intervention regarding the African countries. And I thought that one of the challenges of reducing inequalities between countries is that you cannot be dealing with countries, nations, on one-on-one basis, and that you need to look beyond the countries to look at regional integration, how the countries can come together to create regional markets, regional public goods, to ensure that the economies benefit from from regional integration, which is the key. And so it also means that the G7 countries must have a coordinated approach aligned to these kinds of objectives if you really want to reduce inequalities among countries or between countries. I think we also agree that inequality within countries are issues that has to deal more with distributional issues and go to the roots of the political economy of those countries. And the G7 might not be in a better position to influence that. But through their policies of support to the countries, they can begin to support initiatives that would help to reduce the inequalities within the countries, and particularly perhaps looking at the SDG 10.1, which focuses on trying to support initiatives that would speed up income growth in the 40% of the economy, the bottom 40% of the economy, which to be faster than the average growth in income in the economy at large. So I think that is the kind of thing that they are looking at. The other issue that we raised, which I thought was important, and I emphasized that, is that yes, there's the need for increased and improved domestic resource mobilization. But we have to be careful not to think that by increasing domestic resource mobilization, we solve the fundamental issues of the financial gap, the huge financial gap in infrastructure and public investment. And that evidence shows that even if you achieve tax to GDP ratios of around 17, 18, or even 20% in these countries, given the small economic base and the need for much higher financing for infrastructure to really transform these economies, you wouldn't achieve that. So you need to look beyond domestic resource mobilization. That is not to say that we shouldn't continue to push and support governments to increase and broaden their tax base in order to mobilize domestic resources, because that is the social contract with the people, and that also defines the relationship between the government and its citizens. But at the same time, we want to accelerate development. We don't want it to be just incremental. We need to have very bold, fast, rapid growth in the economies, which is underpinned by solid infrastructure. And the gap in financing of infrastructure is quite huge. So the whole issue of how do you mobilize private capital in ways that would ensure that the private sector plays an active role in financing infrastructure development, railway, roads, bridges, and what have you, is very important. And it's a better and more efficient way of allocating resources, which does not appear on the state balance sheet, than going into the capital markets or even borrowing from the Chinese. So I think this is the conversation we were having.